take on the world. Standing tall, we gotta make it our own. No waiting around. Winners would never look down. No one can stop us, we got it. The future is right in our hands. Give it 100%. We gonna take on the world. Yeah, we gotta move. Speaking the truth. Yeah, paying our dues. We making the news. Yeah, we hitting the roof. No, we don't wanna lose. Diamond is shaking the walls. We gotta break all the rules.
What's going on, Jag Wire Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Jag Wire, where we talk about the Jaguars. I am one of your hosts, Matthew, and we have our co-host, Josh Allen. That's right, the best Josh Allen in Duval County. I guess technically Clay County, right?
Well, I would imagine the other Josh Allen has gone back to Kentucky. I think that's where he lives in the offseason. So I think right now, because we're in the offseason, I am the best Josh Allen in
Not just
Clay/Duval.
Not just Northeast Florida, really Florida.
Yeah, I don't think you can find a better one. You know, I challenge you to find a better one. But I just realized I got to change that. I got to edit that bump video, man. We got to put Trevor stiff arm from the first Titans game. And we got to put the replay where he trucked that guy in the Kansas City game this weekend in there, and got to beef up the highlights a little bit on that intro video.
I concur. Well, let's get down to it. We all know what happened this past weekend. It was my birthday, the most important event that had happened. I am
happy birthday.
18 years old. Wow. Crazy, right? I'm still 18. Good gracious. How does he age so well? I know, right? No. It was a happy birthday-ish. Had my family, but the pre-birthday party was not very much.
So what, your birthday was Saturday?
No, Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that's why I say my pre-birthday party was the Jaguars, right? Who went into Kansas City and had mediocre barbecue and left cooked themselves, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Kansas City barbecue does suck. Got into a chat about that today.
I saw that.
It is a salty, lifeless, moistureless brick of awfulness. I tell you, the Jags going into Kansas City, tell you what they didn't do. They didn't get the break speed off them, but like every other team in the other divisional round games. So I'm thankful for that. And it wasn't the ending that we hoped for, but it's hard to be too mad about it, I guess. I don't know. That's how I'm feeling currently.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm even mad about it. Now I know everyone else in the fan battle group, and of course it's a fan battle, so bring on the heat. That's what it's all about, right? But they'll say, you guys are gonna say kumbaya, we had a good season, but you know what? Dang it, you pick number 1 overall 2 seasons in a row, and then that third season you go out
and you blow the second
by losing only 7 points to Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Oh yeah, I concur with that one. But if by the third season you're after picking number 1 overall twice in a row, you lose by 7 points to Patrick Mahomes in the second round, I'm okay with that.
Patrick Mahomes.
And if anyone else, disagrees with what I say, they're just they've had too much time to sit on the couch because they're losers.
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all with the opinions of Titans or Texans or Colts fans. Colts fans just keep talking about their Super Bowl from like a decade and a half ago. Titans fans want to run their mouth, but they got swept by the team that they keep disparaging. So if our team's so terrible, how did we sweep you? And the Texans are the Texans. I'm not worried about or scared of the Texans. They're so bad at football that they're not even good at tanking, and they lost the number 1 pick to the Bears. So they can all take a seat, which they've been doing for a while. But I will say, here's the frustration that I have. Is that it almost felt more frustrating because the game was close, because we didn't get the break speed off us. If we had lost by 30, you could say, listen, we're just not there. Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. Like he just, they were on the path that we've been on as far as getting better, getting a good quarterback, putting pieces in place. Been on that path for 5 or 6 years, and we're just starting. But, you just see a handful of plays. That beautiful pass from Trevor that Christian Kirk drops, the fumble by Jamal Agnew, Just the 98. And I tell you what really, I think really sealed the game was when Chad Henne came in. Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, comes out of the game, has to have x-rays done. Chad Henne comes in, 38-year-old, whatever he is, Chad Henne comes in and drives 98 yards, just effortlessly down the field because we couldn't get any pass rush on him. We couldn't tackle the man. So there's just, it's like, I'm not like, fire somebody over it. Right.
Right.
But it was right. It just felt like it was right there. Like it was within. It's more frustrating because it felt like it was within our grasp. And a couple plays changed the complexion. Even towards the end, after all those other things had happened, Jamal Agnew just he just fumbles the ball. I mean, it happened. Like, listen, it's very easy to sit and be a couch commentator, an analyst, and never having played in the NFL. It's like I'm not mad at Jamal Agnew. I don't think Jamal Agnew could do anything to make me angry with him because I was in the stadium when he returned that field goal against the Cardinals for a touchdown. That's maybe one of the most amazing football moments I've ever seen in person. But it's just one of those things where you're like, it was within our reach, and we just let it slip through.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if on the one game level, I would agree that was tough because it was winnable. It was very winnable. I wouldn't say that we lost the game because you have to give credit with Kansas City. They did what they had to do, but it was definitely within reach and winnable for us. Whereas the last game, I know a lot of people are like, well, look at the last game. We only lost, I think it was by 10 points. But if you remember watching that game, and I went back and kind of watched a little bit, if Kansas City needed to put up 50 points on us, they were going to.
Kansas City let up in that first game.
They kind of did whatever they wanted to do through the whole game.
Yeah.
And the score was not indicative of how the game was played.
People were calling for Caldwell to be fired after that game because of how he the Colts just marched up and down the field in that first game. Like, I remember, I don't know if anybody in the Jaguars organization was ever talking about it, but like fans were upset. And fans were upset with Caldwell after this game too. They said he didn't double team Kelsey, that he didn't put anybody on Kelsey. Well, Kelsey did an interview, I forget which podcast or who it was with, and said that he was double teamed the whole game, but they didn't get pressure. And you can only hold, even with two people, you're only going to cover a man so long when it turns into a scramble drill. And he said basically a lot of the plays turned into a scramble drill, and he was just able to get open and get away from the coverage.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest need in the offseason, in my opinion, is pass rush. We got to do something. To get more pass rush because they were just invisible for a lot of the year.
Yeah. I think I immediately want to say a lot of holes that we need to fill, but relative to our previous off seasons, we have a few positions that we need to fix.
Yeah, I think the big problem is going to be free
agency.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem is going to be free agency and like salary cap situation that they're in. Like people are talking about bringing Shaq Griffin back. I say cut that dude. Like let him go. Bye. Bon voyage. Bon voyage. I wish you all the best in life, but just not on my football team, sir. Like you just go.
Just not wearing the teal and black.
Yeah, man.
Not wearing the teal and black. No. Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to the game. Yeah, it was tough. But again, I mean, I guess the overall picture, I'm happy with what happened. But you're right. Looking at that game individually, that was tough.
Did you hear about the potato girl?
I did see that, and I thought it was ridiculous on both ends.
I think it's weird though. Like it's weird to bring so there was if you haven't seen it and you happen to listen to the show, there was a girl, a lady, woman. I don't know if girl is considered enough insensitive term. There was a woman in the stands, Kansas City Chiefs fan, had a baked potato in her pocket and just busts out this baked potato at some point in the game and just starts eating the baked potato that came out of her pocket. And a Jaguars fan took a picture of her and tried to be discreet about it, but wasn't very good at it. And she took a picture of him taking a picture of her, and there was this back and forth exchange on Twitter where he was trying to make fun of her, and she basically said, "Yeah, I brought in a potato, and I enjoyed a baked potato and a W. How was your day?" And she basically roasted the guy, like she turned it into. But with Kansas City, I don't know, like it's just so boring. I'm tired. I'm kind of tired of them Tired of their fans. I hate the colors red and yellow together. I always have. But I will say that teal color, I saw a lot of fans on the broadcast wearing teal in the stands, and it was nice to see it sort of contrast. And the snow element of it I thought was cool. Like the fact that it was snowing during the game. I always love a good snow game. So I mean, it was, it wasn't the outcome I wanted, but it was a cool game to watch. I felt like, but I don't know. Trying to take away some sort of positive from it, but it's hard.
No, and I like how you point out that there was some teal in the stands, and I don't think the national news media or National Football League fan realizes the crazy fandom that there is in Northeast Florida for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Nope.
That once we start winning and there's a winning culture and we're stringing together some solid seasons, we're going to travel and people are going to know it. Like, people are going to know, dang, when the Jaguars come to town, kind of like how we complain when the Steelers come to town or most other teams come to town. That's going to start happening when people say, crap, the Jaguars come to town, they travel well.
I hope so. And I hope to do some of that myself. Who are our away opponents
next year?
Okay. I know we go to they go to obviously the division. They go to Green Bay, or not Green Bay, Pittsburgh. Oh yeah, so Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, New Orleans, and Tampa. I'm gonna go to that Tampa game. I've already decided that's a driving distance game for me. Tampa's going to be terrible next year because I don't think Tom Brady's coming back. And as much as I love the Gator QB that's behind him, I forget the kid's name. I just don't think he's going to be very good. Yeah, Kyle Trask. I don't know. I could be wrong, but they also fired Byron Leftwich, and I don't think their head coach is very good. So I think they're going to be a disaster. So I'm hoping to see the Jaguars wallop the Buccaneers next year. So I'll probably travel to that game. I would love to go to Pittsburgh and watch the Jaguars dominate in Pittsburgh like they always do, but I don't know. That's a little far. I can't necessarily commit to that, but yeah, I don't know. There's a couple of possibilities in there. New Orleans and Tampa Bay. So yeah, I agree with you. I think people are going to start seeing a lot more of us, and people give Jags fans a hard time. Like Shannon Sharp, even between the Titans game and the Chargers playoff game, said something about there only being like 40,000 people in the stands. Bro, you were there, you saw it. Like that crowd, like everyone was trying to say the crowd was going to be less excited for that Chargers game, and they were in spots because the team went down 27-0. But that atmosphere was electric, bro. And like in the third quarter, when Marvin Jones scored that touchdown and they started playing Knuck If You Buck on the stereos and people just started losing their brains, like the crowd just started jumping on. Like the Jags fans are a good fan base. We don't have millions of fans like some of these teams that have been around since
right.
the 20s or whatever. But like the fans that are there are good fans. I'm just very tired of like the jokes about the Jags not having fans and the fans not being very good.
Right.
People can just
part of the problem is in-house, right? We just haven't fielded a product that's worthy of positive national attention. But, I think that narrative is about to change. Like
second highest rated game in terms of viewership was that Chargers Jaguars game. And then supposedly the
Kansas City game was number one.
The Kansas City game was one that had survived ratings. The Chargers game also had good ratings. So supposedly there's buzz with the network executives about trying to give Jacksonville a primetime home game next year.
Right.
Even if I don't end up with season tickets, I guarantee you primetime home game, whatever week it is, whenever it is, I'll be there.
Yeah. No. I saw that too. They're talking about they had said, I guess the Jaguars are attractive for primetime games. I saw plural. Now we'll probably only end up maybe with one primetime plus the
what they're gonna do? They're gonna give us the Titans at home.
As long if they do that for the Thursday night game, I'm fine. But put us on Sunday night, put us on other nights, even if it's away. I think we've earned that. And I think other teams have lost that. Oh, Gabriel, Gabe. Rent free, man. Rent free. Right?
Yeah, man. I'd love to see the day that Gabriel actually posts about his own team, man. That's wild. Gabriel, what's your shirt size, dude? I'll mail you some Jags gear. I got plenty. Just let me know, bro. If I don't have your size, I'll mail it to you because clearly you are a Jaguars fan. You just don't want to admit it. So just let me know, Gabriel. I'll hook you up.
Gabriel, though, I will give him this, and he had mentioned it in one of the comments about it being a fan battle group. And that's right, man. And he is the epitome of fan battle, and I like it. But I hate the Titans. Gosh, I hate the Titans.
Bro, the Titans.
But I appreciate Great Gabe's participation in the fan battle.
Yeah, I love the Titans this year because they got swept.
Oh, I still hate them. Still hate them. Just a few more things, I guess, about the game. Aluakon. It was nice to see. I think us going so deep in the postseason and there not being as many teams obviously left, right? Aluakon, I think he got some recognition for what he did this year. These past 2 years.
Yeah, extra medium. All right, Gabriel, I'll hook you up, man. But no, respect. I respect you, Gabriel. I get it. I understand the nature of the group that we're in is not to be nice to other people's teams. So, Aluakon got some well-deserved praise. I think what's perplexing is, Tyson Campbell played out of his mind this year at corner.
He did.
And I still have seen nobody talk about him. Luke Fortner, playing out of his mind at center as a rookie on the offensive line. Like, no, not anybody really talking about him at all. Like, I just, there's some perplexing people that I feel like didn't get much credit. Obviously, Trevor's gotten a lot of credit,
right?
Where it's due in the wide receiver core. And Travis Etienne, he had a clutch run in the game, this past weekend. But I think the linebacker core is also a problem, right? And the specific problem in the linebacker core is Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma. But maybe we'll get into that a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, VT, we hate the Titans. The Titans suck.
Yes. I just looked up Tyson Campbell's season stats. So he has 15 passes defended. That puts him in 6th in the league. That's legit. He's got 3 interceptions, which is tied for 28th. So he technically is better than 3 other teams in the entire league,
right?
By himself. So yeah, you're right. I think part of that, again, the product that we've put on the field for several seasons, it's hard for us to justify getting the attention that we feel like we deserve. But I think moving forward, we've put the league on notice.
I think 2 more seasons like that, you'll start to see players from the Jags get into the Pro Bowl and a lot of different conversations around people on the team.
When are we gonna have to pay Trevor?
I think he's got 2 years left on his deal with a 5th-year option.
Yeah, if it's 5th-year
second
option,
season, so we should.
We have 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. But yeah, salary cap, that's going to be a hurdle to overcome, right?
Well, think about it. If we've got his 3 years, if you include his 5th-year option, and then we could still franchise tag him 2 years after that, and it'd still be kind of.
I hope we don't do that, though.
I don't think they will. But with these first-round picks, you essentially have 7 years where you can control them, and it'd be financially.
Yeah, and I think we've got the free agents that they signed last offseason, who a lot of whom have big price tags. So, the goal there is to do basically what the Chiefs have been doing, where you bring in some high profile guys, and then as time goes on, those guys end up shuffling off the roster, and you draft well underneath them, and you bring up, like that running back that was tearing us up on Saturday was a rookie. So they drafted well there. Again, that would have been a better pick than Trayvon Walker. Literally almost, Trayvon Walker, I mean, I like him as a human being, right? Like,
yes,
no disrespect intended as a man, but as a football player, I still say I was right in my opinion at the beginning of the year.
We were right.
Sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
I feel you. I feel
we were 100% in agreement. I will say you were a little more hopeful than I was.
Yeah.
I was pretty much, he's not going to be, and maybe not, so I think that's one of the questions on the defensive side of the ball. Can Trayvon Walker get better? Can Chad Muma get better? Can Devin Lloyd get better? Right. Yeah. So that's really the question with the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. And then within all of that, how do we get more pass rush?
Right.
How do we generate more pressure on the quarterback that leads to sacks, right? Because they were in Patrick Mahomes' face, but the problem with Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes is that the man is a wizard.
Yeah.
And he on one leg with people draped all over him was throwing 20-30 yard darts right into the hands of Travis Kelce. So it just if we can't, you don't put people on their butt, you don't put the quarterback on their butt, then
Yeah.
you're just asking.
Well, and part of the problem is like we do play in the AFC. We are not changing conferences anytime soon.
Yep.
And the AFC is loaded with quarterbacks. And
Yep.
so if we want to be competitive year in and year out in the AFC, you're right, we're going to have to address the front. What does that mean? I mean, like you alluded, our salary cap is going to be a tricky situation. So what do we probably not going to have too many new faces up front outside of those that we pick up from the draft.
Right.
And so do we need to adjust our front? Do we need to move from the 3-4 to the 4-3? Do we need to go to Walker and be like, hey, Walker, we messed up, A, drafting you, and B, trying to turn you into something you aren't. So let's just accept you for what you are. And, instead of him trying to rush out the side, he's great with the run blocking or the run.
Yeah, because you're gonna lose like Adam Gotsis and a couple guys on the inside. So the question is, do you shift him, pair him with Dwan Smoot, who had a big year?
Yeah.
Pair him with somebody like that. And rotate between him, Fatukasi, Smoot, Fatukasi, and Walker, and then find another edge rusher,
Right.
for the outside. People are talking about it's time to extend Josh Allen's contract. I don't think it is. I think next year, I don't know if next year is his last year or if it's the year after that that's the last year on his contract.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you right now, I don't think Josh Allen has earned a big contract extension with his play at this point. And I don't think they can afford to give him a big deal at this point either.
I think you're right. And I think part of the problem right now in Duval with the fans and the buzz around Josh Allen is their recency bias. Yeah, he put together a couple good games near the end of the season, but his full body of work, you're right, it's sus at best. And I think next year, and if he does have 2 more seasons, he really needs to string together more than just a handful of games.
And I would like to see us stop putting him in pass coverage too. He's not good at that. That's not something like, talking about with Trayvon Walker playing to his strengths. Yeah. Josh Allen is a pass rusher. Put him in situations where he can pin his ears back and do his job.
Exactly.
Right. Stop putting him in coverage on running backs and wide receivers where he gets toasted because it's not his skill set. And I understand that there's times where they have to figure it out because they play him as a linebacker, as not as a down lineman. But I don't know. I just don't think he's earned an extension. I don't think there's anybody really that they should offer an extension or a reworked contract to. They're going to have to restructure somebody's contract though to be able to keep. If they want to keep like Arden Key and Evan Ingram and some of these guys, they're going to have to figure out a way to create some cap space.
Right.
And it's going to be sort of a squeaker coming in right under the nose, of the salary cap once they get all the draft picks and everybody else signed. So I think having like the 24th pick is going to help because that's not going to demand a huge
for sure
salary. So
for sure.
But that's so let's talk about Trent Baalke a little bit, right? Everyone has sung his praises this year for the offseason signings that he had. Now this is where, in my opinion, a GM really earns their money, right? When you want to keep these players, you want to keep enough of the players to figure out the players that you brought in, the ones that are worth keeping, and stay under the salary cap, and then still plan for the future. Because if we're going to keep Trevor Lawrence and he's going to keep playing at the level that he's playing, this rookie deal that he's on, he's going to have to get paid a lot more than that. So,
I'm sure you've seen in the news that Doug Peterson wants to include and Trevor Lawrence wants to be part of some of the decisions moving forward with the team. And but I think that Trent Baalke, I think he's just going to do whatever he wants to do. And I say that because of what he's done previously. In my opinion,
I don't fully trust Trent Baalke's decision making, to be perfect.
Right, and I don't either. And I think last year during the draft, I think Hutchinson was a Baalke move, not a Peterson move. That's just my opinion. I remember last year's draft, and we, as we were going into it, and as we came out of it, it seemed like it was definitely a Baalke move and not Peterson. So I'm hoping
that when they picked Trayvon instead of
I'm sorry, yeah. When they put Trayvon over Aiden Hutchinson, I think that was Balky.
Yeah, I don't
Not
think
Peterson.
Peterson's that stupid, and so that had to be a Trent Baalke.
Right. And so I wonder though, like, yeah, you're gonna have Trevor in the room, but is Balky gonna listen, or is Balky just gonna do what he wants to do? Yeah, you brought like you said, and you make a good point. You brought Evan Ingram in. The guy's proven we need him. We have to have him.
Dude is
Are you
crying
good
in
enough to keep him?
his last press conference about how much of an impact Doug Peterson made on his life and how much he
Yeah.
wants to be a Jaguar. And you're telling me you're going to sit there. The dude is the best tight end we've had since Kyle Brady. And, Trent Baalke, I don't care what you have to do, Trent, figure it out.
Yeah,
Keep
exactly.
that man here in Jackson.
This Balky, if you can keep Evan Ingram and a couple of these other pieces that you brought in that were I'll give it to you, man. Tip of the hat to you, Balky. You made some good moves. Let's keep them.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But in some other news, I don't know if you had seen today some of the coaching news for the Jaguars. Have you seen some of those?
Yeah. Well, they have a good year and our coaches get poached.
Hey, getting poached, and people, I think people might get upset about who was it, the wide receivers coach that
Chris
left.
Jackson.
So he made a lateral. I assume people will look at it and be like, oh, why did he move a lateral move or even down to college? Well, I assume the wide receiver coach has his eyes set on a bigger role than just wide receivers coach, right? And I think
he went to the University of Texas.
Okay, so he has some pedigree there as well. So I think his quickest way to get to where he wants to be professionally is probably to make that move down to the college ranks and then possibly get an offensive coordinator position next year and so on. Because there's only 32 NFL teams, right? And there's 100 and some odd college teams. So I think that was more of a career move versus like the Jaguars suck,
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, who knows what goes on behind closed doors? But there were rumors of that, and Harish Nukla, who's on the AFC South Fan Battle podcast, was telling me that he thought he was going to Texas. And I told him, I said, that sounds crazy to me. Like, why would you go to Texas? The year you just had, they're on the verge of something great. He's going to get Calvin Ridley into that wide receiver room, hopefully, this offseason and start to get to work with him. But people, man, the University of Texas and the people that are fans of it are cultish. He's probably going to get paid more.
Yes.
From what I read at the University of Texas than he would in the NFL. I don't know. Everybody's got to make the decision that's best for them. I would imagine I think he's from Texas. I think the guy's like from Texas, went to Texas. So I would imagine he's got family down there. So maybe that plays into it. I know for me, that would be a big decision, factor in that sort of decision. So, I mean, it is what it is. That's going to happen regardless. Like I saw some Jags fans freaking out a little bit about our coaches, because another one that's getting interviews is Jim Bob Cooter, who has my absolute favorite name in all of coaching.
The passing game coordinator.
Yeah, the passing game coordinator is getting an offensive coordinator. Interviews. I think with the Buccaneers is what I saw. Listen, coaches are going to leave. You got to. That's part of it's part of the NFL. So we just got to trust Baalke and Peterson to figure it out. Hopefully, Baalke lets Peterson have a lot of input into that. Given Peterson's success this year. Because let's not forget, Trent Baalke was also responsible for hiring Urban Meyer. So I know a lot of Jags fans listening to this may think it's weird to question him after the season that they've had. I think this offseason will really tell the tale for Trent Baalke. Is he good at being a GM, or did he just get lucky and throw cash at some guys that everybody thought were good players? Everybody that he brought in as far as free agents, I think over the whole league, everyone was like, oh yeah, those are good players. Everyone knew they were good players. There was a bidding war for them for a reason. So did he get lucky and throw cash at a bunch of dudes that were good, or is he actually, does he have a plan that puts all these pieces together, that go into running a franchise? But we'll see.
So I think I'd say Baalke's kind of in the same situation, at least from my perspective, as Josh Allen. Yes, you strung together some solid decisions. Let's see some consistency there. If you can prove to me this offseason, making some good decisions, I will take back everything I said about you. Well, no, I don't. No, I won't, because what you did then was deserved. All the hate that you got was deserved.
Yeah, all the clown noses and everything, that was 100% deserved. So, I take back nothing. You did better this year. Prove it to me next year.
Yeah. If moving, like if you would have told me last year all these moves and all the success that we'd have had with Baalke's decisions, I would still say, yeah, I still want him fired though. Honestly, back then, obviously today I'm fine with where he's at, but 6 months ago I would have said,
I think it's it's exactly what you said with Josh Allen. It's recency bias, right?
yeah,
The team is coming off this run, that was spectacular at the end of the year. So
spectacular.
it's hard to, I think a few months in, once we get into free agency and the draft, then, we'll see if people turn on the Trent Baalke hate like they used to a little bit, but
Yeah.
who knows?
And then other coaching news for the Jaguars, head coach Doug Peterson was named 2022 AFC Coach of the Year by 101 Awards. That's right. Everyone knows the 101 Awards, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'll be honest,
Totally.
never heard of him. Never
heard of him. Don't care. I'll take it though.
Right.
Clearly, Doug Peterson has been in every conversation I've seen for Coach of the Year, except Christopher Remington, who's part of the FC South fan battle group. He just likes to troll and say that he doesn't think that Peterson is a candidate for Coach of the Year. But I don't know how you don't include him. Obviously, Brian Dable in New York, and there's a couple other guys that you could talk about. What's his name in San Francisco. I forget his name, but anyway, the head coach of San Francisco.
Right.
But to not include Peterson in the conversation, you're dumb. I'm glad he got a little bit of recognition, even though I had literally never heard of these people until they gave out this award. But I'll take it.
I mean, when you go from being the team number 32 in the entire league to one of the final 8 next year, there were only 8 teams left, only 8 teams standing. And the worst team in the league before the previous 2 years was one of those 8 teams. You deserve some sort of nod in the conversation, at least. I'll get it if he doesn't get it. If he doesn't get it, right? Because I think the Giants, they did pretty well up there. They also are in a more prominent market, right? They have a bigger market. More people know about the Giants, right? So I would get that. I think San Francisco, if he got the nod, I wouldn't agree just because it's kind of a ready-built team, right? It's kind of like, yeah, you did have to go through 2 tough injuries, but did he coach Brock Purdy to be as good as he is? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Where I think as a coach, what other coach made as much of an impact on their team to success as Doug Peterson? How much of a team's success relied so heavily on a coach as the Jaguars? I think the Jaguars would be heads above everybody else if you just look at the product that we had last year on the field. If you look at the product from last year and the product this year, what's the biggest difference? Yeah, we got some good playmakers, but I think the biggest was the infusion of a competent Super Bowl winning head coach.
I mean, the choir, man. I totally agree. I don't know how you can look at any of those other guys and say that they did more with a worse situation than Peterson.
And even if you could say, well, he had all the talent there, well, that just makes it even more so. I mean, look at what freaking Urban Meyer did with almost some of the same talent. I mean, dude, just.
I saw a crazy stats. The Urban Meyer was only the 4th coach in the history of the league to be fired after his first season or first season.
During his first season.
Yeah, during his first season.
So 2 of those coaches were this year, right? With Denver's head coach.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yo, think about this too. Think about how many bullets we dodged this offseason. How many fans were screaming for offensive coordinator down in Tampa. Why? I can't think.
Byron Leftwich.
How many fans were wanting Byron Leftwich?
Listen, I'll tell you, I was. I thought, they were, because I hated Trent Baalke so much. I wanted them to bring in Leftwich and let Leftwich pick, have a say in what GM you wanted to work with. I don't know that the bad season that they had is entirely on Byron Leftwich in Tampa, but that's a topic for another podcast, probably.
Right.
But I clearly think, looking back, hindsight being obviously 2020, Peterson was 100% the correct choice.
Oh, for sure.
As head coach of the Jags.
But we dodged that bullet. Think about that. The guy has now been fired from his position. And also there were some people who were wanting Hackett, because remember, Hackett does have some ties to the Jaguars organization. And I remember people saying, we want Hackett as our head coach and we need to jump before another team does. And Denver actually did jump. And I remember some people being upset about that. They weren't as upset about Hackett as they were with Leftwich. And I'm with you. I was kind of wanting Leftwich too. But
I just thought it'd be cool. Like he seemed like he was going to be good,
right.
a good fit, and he's a former player. He's a
Right.
former player who was done dirty. When they had David Garrard take over.
Yeah.
After he was the starter, like it was this sort of a cool, like,
It all comes
redemption story, so to speak, for Byron Leftwich. But again, obviously, I was wrong. I was wrong about many things. I'm working on an edit of previous episodes of the Jag Wire with all of my terrible takes from this year about Trevor Lawrence and all sorts of things. So that'll be something we can throw up at some point, and I'll laugh at me.
You know what's interesting, if you just think about what we're saying, how we wanted, because I was on the bandwagon with bringing on Leftwich, but it's just like, look at our mentality from a year ago. Like we wanted Leftwich because we were like he was a former player, it'd be cool to have him back, yada yada yada, because we were just so used to losing.
If we're gonna suck, let's suck with our guys,
right?
Let's suck with people that we like, right?
Right. It's like we suck and we've always sucked. So let's just make it fun and cool and interesting and heartwarming because we're going to bring this player back. Whereas now it's like, no, we need to make decisions to win, right? Like the next wide receivers coach needs to come in and know that we're going to win. We need to win, like speaking of which, how cool would it be if we brought back Keenan McCardell, who's been doing some interviews as offensive coordinator. Now, I don't know if that's just to satisfy the Rooney rule. That's just my
Where's he at now? Where is he?
Minnesota, right? I think he's in Minnesota or Baltimore.
Hold on, let me Google it. I'd be okay with that. I mean,
Vikings. Yeah, he's Vikings. But he interviewed for the offensive coordinator position up in New England.
Oh, that's cool.
Where we all know.
The Bucks are going to interview him also, it looks like.
Yeah. So I think it'd be cool to bring him down. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but that would be that will be an interesting search, more so than in previous years, just because I think we have a stud wide receiver core, especially infusing Ridley into it all. So
yeah, I've never been more confident in a head coach to be able to make staff hiring decisions than I have in Doug Peterson, right?
Yeah.
So I just, there's a lot of stuff where, people want to analyze every little thing and be experts on all the things that the team does. Like, I just want them to win, keep the success going, keep the train rolling, do what you got to do. I don't care. Literally, listen, we have a man named Jim Bob Cooter on the staff. If you had told me that you'd be good at coaching football, I would have laughed at you, but apparently he is. So
it's good enough. Yeah. No. So yeah, coming out of this last week, I think it's awesome. The last week was the second round of the playoffs for the Jaguars. How awesome was that? Like, looking back, yeah, we lost, but it's like we lost in the second round and that was the end of our season. The rest of our division have been sitting home for at least 2 years, right? At least that's what it feels like.
I tell you, the Titans game and then the Chargers game are two of the most wonderful sports experiences I've ever had in person at a stadium, watching a team that I enjoy.
You went to both of them, right? That's right.
Yeah, I was at both of them. And I was in the end zone, right in the corner where Josh Allen picked up the fumble and ran it back. People were going nuts. It was just,
if you get a high five in with him afterwards.
No, I was way up high, but he sheesh, sorry. He came back out on the field that night. I was going around to the crowd down at that were all on the edges, and giving high fives and like doing autographs and stuff. So that was pretty neat. But what I've been telling people is if I sat you down beginning of the season and said, Matt, your team is gonna be down 7 to the Chiefs in the divisional round of the playoffs with the ball in Trevor's hand, driving down the field with 5 minutes left in the game. I can't tell you any other details of the season. Would you take it? If I can guarantee you that outcome I just gave you, would you take it?
I would snatched it and ran as fast as I could.
Yes, we would have run for the hills and said, I don't care. Shut up and take my money.
Get away. This is mine.
Tell me what I got to do to make that come true. So, this season was a success. This season was beyond, exceeded everybody's expectation. So it is. Now I want more. Their slogan was the job's not finished, and they talked about we want more. Well, yeah, I want more next year too. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, awesome. So for those of you that are still hanging by, this is not our end of season recap.
Nope.
We still have a few more episodes going before we slow things down. We're not going to completely stop. There is an off season, but there's the NFL continues on even in the off season, and we'll definitely be here to report that, talk about it, and scream to everyone else in the division that we are your daddy.
Yep.
The division champs, and
Yep.
will be
Mhm.
until we aren't. And
Yep.
you'll never forget that, because we will both be here to tell
You
you.
wanna be the best, you gotta beat the best. So come get some AFC South.
So you guys, thanks again. We will unless you have anything else, Josh.
Nope, I'm good. Go Jags.
Oh, and don't forget, everybody, go to all of our social media accounts. I know we talked about a giveaway. Things kind of fell through the cracks this year, but please still go to all of our social medias. Not only for the Jag Wire, for our individual accounts, you can also go to for the Fan Battle Network. Look up Fan Battle Network. That's in the Twitter, it's in YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. Follow, share, subscribe, comment. We super appreciate it. We're really trying to grow this platform and to be something really special. And next year have our sights on bringing some big dogs in to represent and talk with us here in the AFC South Fan Battle. So,
Yep.
appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
See you.